This is Jonathan Agger, fifth Pro Boxing fans, joined by heavyweight Nick Campbell. Nick, how's things going? The last time I think I saw you was on your fight week. I think it was a Steve Robinson fight, but how's life treating you?
Yeah, man, I'm all right. I'm just over in it. I was going to say that's a fair old time ago.
Yeah.
Uh, it feels like a long time ago now. But aye, man, I'm all good. Over in Jersey, working at Strive, coaching some of the academy teams over here, different athletes from different sports, and doing my own bit of coaching as well with individual clients, and also obviously keeping on top of my own training and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, everything's good. Everything's good here.
I saw your interview with Seconds Out where you said, you're not sure about sort of your future in boxing. What's the latest with that?
Yeah, listen, still the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been a long time out of the ring now. Boxing's one of the toughest sports in the world. Do you know what I mean? And unless the right opportunity came along, I can't really see myself getting back in there. I've got a lot going on. I'm trying to build up a business on the side now, as well as doing my own training. And yeah, so still never say never. I keep myself incredibly fit. Well, I say incredibly fit. I keep myself fit, and I like to push myself in training. And I still love the sport. Still keep up to date. Still love doing things like this and trying to give my predictions and any knowledge that I've gained from previous camps and stuff I've been in. So no, listen, man, it's always good to get on and chat to somebody like yourself who loves the sport as much as me.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And what would be that opportunity that would sort of convince you to come out and fight again?
I've not even really thought that deep into it. Do you know what I mean? So I honestly couldn't give you a definitive answer on that, but like I say never. We'll see opportunities present themselves at different times, and it's about being the right man to take that opportunity. So we'll just see what happens. We'll just see what happens.
You seem to be sort of keeping yourself busy, like you say, you've got, you're in the gym, you're doing your work in the gym, your other business. Was it easy to transition to that, or was it difficult?
Yeah, listen, I I suppose having another focus is a good thing because it means that you're not dwelling on anything or not thinking about you're constantly keeping moving forward with whatever it is you're doing. So I suppose in that way it's made my transition a little bit easier because I've got another focus. I need to put all my energy into that and focus on that. Obviously working in the gym as well, it means that I can get my own training in, so I'm not going nuts and losing fitness and worrying too much about all that sort of thing. So yeah, it has its day ups and downs and different challenges and stuff, and especially with a big fight week like this. And obviously, I've got a bit, I don't know what the right word for it is, but like, I've got a bit of a personal agenda with what's going on this week. So I'm a bit more invested and I'm seeing videos of things that have been going on in camp and everything, and you start to miss the that element of things. But no, listen, I'm enjoying the new challenge and trying to keep myself focused and busy, and yeah, so it's life, man. You just need to roll with the punches, literally, and keep moving forward.
Just before we move on to this week, because obviously you've got, like you say, both guys in the heavyweights. Going back on your career when you had that night in Scotland, with Jay McFarlane and sort of everything like that, the build up, everything like that. What was that night like for you? And do you look back on that with, pride and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. Listen, that was probably the biggest night of my life in a boxing sense. Boxing in front of 14,000, 13,000 people in the Hydro in my home city for a belt that hadn't been contested in 71 years. Yeah, it was massive and on a massive card as well. Josh Taylor is probably the best Scottish fighter in the last 20 years. Fighting on his undercard is one of I wasn't the uh, co-main event, but I was just below that. I mean, I was third from top of the bill, and I think I sold something like 30 grand worth of tickets for that. I had all my friends and family there. It was a special occasion, and Jay added to that as well. Do you know what I mean? He's a bit of a clown, and he likes to bring a lot of attention to himself. So it got people interested in the fight. And it was the whole week, the build up, everything. Top Rank were involved, Sky were involved. It was just, it was brilliant memories to look back on, and obviously that little bit sweeter coming out victorious at the end of the night.
And I know you said sort of, you haven't really thought about, coming back and opponents and whatever. But obviously, Josh Taylor's they just announced the fight for him at the Hydro in May. Could that tempt you if you got the call?
Listen, who knows? But I think there's some great fights on that card. The fight of the night for me's got to be Nathaniel Collins versus Lee McGregor, Glasgow versus Edinburgh, East versus West. There's a little bit of backdrop, there's a little bit of niggle in there. It's kind of looking to who's going to kind of be the next guy up from Taylor, in my opinion, in a Scottish sense, who's going to be the next one that's kind of challenge for a world title. And obviously Lee's been on a bit of a redemption journey on his way back, changed trainers, and yeah, he's had a lot going on in the background. Nathaniel's obviously been through that, you know, the medical stuff that he went through. So that'll be an incredible fight, and I'm just forward to seeing the rest of the Scottish talent that's going to be on show that night. And the
Mm.
Hydro is an incredible venue, so it's no better place for them to show it really. So I'm really excited and looking forward to that card. And listen, if I got the opportunity to fight in it, then maybe yeah, we'll see who they offer. But listen, I'm really looking forward to the card. I think it'll be a cracker.
Brilliant. Well, talk to me about this weekend. Obviously, a huge fight between two guys you know well, Dubois and Parker. What's your thoughts on Saturday's fight?
Yeah, listen, I think I've watched a lot of the kind of pundits and the experts giving their opinions on it. And yeah, I would mirror them slightly. I favour Joe. I think that Joe, the transition and the transformation that he's made under Andy Lee and George Lockhart are going to be the difference on the night. I think that he's going to take the last 10 months, 12 months that he's been out of the ring and the work that he's done in the shadows, and you're going to see it come to fruition on the 22nd. Having said that, Dubois is a very dangerous individual, a massive puncher, very dangerous for the whole fight. Really, he's a fit guy. He's not going to. I think all this kind of if you can get past the first 4 rounds, that's not. They're not saying that because he's fitness. He's incredibly fit. He could probably go for 15, 16, 17 rounds. He's that fit. I just think, once Joe can weather the storm, adjust his style, get in there, feel his power, feel him out, employ the game plan that they've been working on. I just see it down the end stretch of the fight. Joe either, really, really making a decisive points decision or potentially even getting a late stoppage.
When you when did you spar Joe? Because a lot of people say since he linked up with Andy Lee and George Lockhart, like especially the last few years, he's like completely evolved as a fighter. So, have you seen that sort of firsthand?
Yeah, listen, I've been in 5 or 6 of Joe's last camps. I was actually, me and Joe done the same session with George the first time George ever took his strength and conditioning session. So I've really seen the whole journey almost in terms of what they've done, how they've evolved. They've spent a lot of time in New Zealand together, and he's even went up another 2 or 3 levels since I seen him in the gym. So yeah, I can. Yeah, he's a different animal now. When we first went in and started lifting together, I think the first session we done, I beat Joe on pretty much everything that we done. I was a little bit better than him at most of the strength exercises we're doing, pretty level in the core, cardio, all that sort of thing. I could match him on pretty much everything or just do a little bit better. Now he completely smashes me. George is a cheat code, man. George has completely transformed them. And I don't think that's not me boasting like I was better than him. I just genuinely was a little bit better than him. But having George and having the consistency and the work that they've done outside of boxing has just totally transformed them, man. Like the work he's doing in the gym now is scary. Like you really genuinely, if you didn't know Joe and you hadn't been around him, you'd think he'd been on something to improve his performance. It's been that much of a dramatic change. So, nah, he's put in the hard work. He's listened to everything George said. George is a genius. And then combine that with Andy's boxing knowledge and IQ, they're a formidable team.
And then when you look at like the Deontay Wilder fight, well, most people said, listen, Deontay's just going to land one right hand and the fight's over. Wilder couldn't really hit him, and that was, I guess, people are now saying, well, Wilder was finished, but at that time, Wilder was not finished, and everyone was talking about the Joshua fight and stuff like that. Do you see a way that Joseph Parker could outbox Dubois to the point that he doesn't even land anything on him?
Very difficult to do that against somebody with Dubois' punch output and his fitness. I think Joe touched on it. Zhang and Wilder are phenomenal punchers, but they don't have the same punch output as Dubois. Dubois has got a kind of, in my opinion, a different sort of power as opposed to Wilder. Wilder's a one punch knockout artist. He lands on you and it's lights out. Dubois, it's hard to describe. It's that kind of a density to his punches. It's just every shot is a bit dense. Like you feel everything, even if it lands in your gloves, if it's landing on your elbows, your arms. It's very, very dense power. So it's a different kind of fight, a different sort of switched on that Joe needs to be. But he needs to just pick his moments. He needs to throw when Dubois is not throwing. He doesn't want to sit there and engage with him. And for Dubois, he needs to put it on Joe. He needs to put Joe in positions that he doesn't want to be in, and he needs to make Joe fight when he doesn't want to fight. So it's going to be a really contrast and interesting clash of styles. But yeah, that's how Dubois got to pressure him, put him under as much pressure as he can, and try and push Joe into positions that he doesn't want to be in. Joe needs to counteract that by doing his own thing, leading off with his jab, landing the combinations, getting in and out, boxing at range, and not picking when he wants to fight, not when the bar wants him to fight.
Also, you sparred a ton of great guys, Fury, Parker, Dubois. I'm not sure if you sparred Joshua, but you sparred a lot of guys. Would you say Dubois is the hardest puncher you've faced?
Yeah, probably. I'd say so. Yeah, he's definitely. Yeah, I'd have to say. Listen, I'm not going to say here. No, no, the guy can punch. I've seen how devastating his power can be in sparring. We've obviously all seen how devastating he can be on the night. So there's no doubt about it. He's a phenomenal puncher. And another thing as well, he's got in Dubois has in his favour is Don Charles is a fantastic coach. I really rate Don. He's been there, he's done it. He's came up the hard way, got all his experience, and he's a good heavyweight coach. He knows what he's talking about. So it's a real interesting clash. Andy Lee versus Don Charles, Daniel Dubois versus Joe Parker. It's got everything. There's a real mix, head to heads and coaches and fighters and different characters. It's just, yeah, I think it's for me. I feel that more people are talking about this fight than they are talking about the main event, which is an incredible fight in itself. So, yeah, it's just a fantastic night of boxing, one I'm really looking forward to.
What's your thoughts on that main event, Beterbiev Bivol rematch?
I fancy Bivol. I actually had Bivol slightly edged in the first fight. But you go back and you watch it and you could probably come out with three or four different outcomes every time. So yeah, I think Bivol will make the adjustments and I can see him getting a points decision. Having said that, but that they're both Hall of Famers, all time, great middleweights. So it's going to be a hell of a fight and it's going to be a hell of a close. I just think maybe that Bivol knows what to expect now. He's been in there, he's done the 12 rounds, he knows the areas he needs to adjust. I think he's the silkier boxer. Having like obviously Beterbiev is an incredible boxer as well. I just fancy Bivol in the rematch, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to get the third one. I think that's what all the fans want. So hopefully, a Bivol win, and then we can go into the decider.
And lastly, what's your thoughts prediction for Zhang Kabayel?
Fancy Kabayel. I've actually done quite a lot of rounds with Agit. He's another incredibly fit guy, ferocious body puncher, and a real pressure fighter. And I just think that Zhang's fitness has always been the biggest question for him. And I think that Campbell will take him into the deep water and drown him. I could see Campbell maybe getting the stoppage late on, if not a wide points decision. I just think he's got too much. Got too much momentum, too much youth on his side, too much fitness, and I think he's a very underrated hitter. Not underrated, but I think he's one of the guys that's maybe a little bit overlooked. I think after this, he's going to be pushing in a world title contention, and he's a problem for anyone. So I'll be backing Agate to get the job done, and yeah, late stoppage points win again.
Interesting. And actually, last one. Obviously, Tyson Fury's retired. Do you think that he'll come back?
Listen, who knows? Tyson's retired a couple of times. I think listening and talking to people who know him a lot better than me, I think he is retired. Like in his mind, he's done. So if it was to be him done, I don't really have an issue with it. I think he's done everything. He's been at the pinnacle of the sport. He's made more money than he'll ever need for 5 lifetimes. He's got nothing left to prove. I think the only fight that can maybe tempt him back is the Joshua fight, but the more I think about it, the less I've not really got any great desire to see it. Um, both done amazing things for the sport, both great in their own right. And listen, if they fight and they make a barrel load of money, then good luck to them. I'll still tune in and watch it, and I'm a fan of both, so I'll support. But it's not a fight that I desperately feel the need to see anymore.
Well, Nick, appreciate you jumping on. Obviously, if people want to follow you, I think it's Nick Campbell 1 on Instagram.
Nick A Campbell one on Instagram, X, anything. Aye, but give me a follow. I'll keep trying to give my expert opinion. And thanks for listening in, man. Thanks for having me on the channel. Enjoy fight week, and I hope to speak to you soon.
Brilliant. Appreciate that, Nick. All the
Cheers,
best.
man.